Hello and welcome to the Midnight Bible Study. Right now, a 2,700-year-old prophecy originating in the book of Jeremiah in the Bible is unfolding now in the Middle East, and it promises a major disaster is imminent. It's imminent. And it involves Iran. According to Bill Salas in the book The Now Prophecies, he kind of walks through the Jeremiah prophecies in Jeremiah 49:34 to 39. And as he points out, this seems to deal with what is presently taking place inside of Iran. Now keep in mind this book was written in 2016, and what is happening now is like on steroids. What's happening it looks like it's playing out on steroids compared to 2016. Now, both parts of the prophecy are occurring now. Jeremiah 49:34 to 37 seems to allude to Iran's military actions, specifically its nuclear and intercontinental ballistic missile programs. Jeremiah 49:38 and 39 then shifts the focus to Christians within Iran. Now, Iran has the world's fastest growing population of Christians. Not everyone is aware of that, but it's true. But it also has one of the most severe and ruthless programs for persecuting Christians. Now, Jeremiah 49:38 and 39, again, relating to the Christians within Iran. The house church movements have begun all over Iran because obviously, in a country where there's intense persecutions going on of Christians, there might be some people who would rather, have church in their home as opposed to somewhere in public where they're, might get assassinated or something like that, or persecuted in some other way. We saw the same thing in Russia during the communist period and even the Cold War period. So they have deep fellowship in these house movements that help these Christians hold fast to their faith. Now, according to persecution.org, Iran's regime has even sentenced some of these people to death, some of these Christians to death, under charges of apostasy and spies threatening the Islamic system. Now, Jeremiah 49:34 and 35 states the word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might." I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. Now this is a very important line in this prophecy. Now, note, the Jeremiah prophecy occurred 2,700 years ago, yet it's playing out in the present. Elam is part of modern Iran that borders the Persian Gulf. Now, there's a couple of reasons why this is an essential aspect of this prophecy. Elam is the location of Iran's Bushehr nuclear reactor. And this nuclear reactor, the Bushehr nuclear reactor, you got to love these engineers who come up with these ideas. It sits on the convergence of three tectonic plates. This nuclear reactor. That was brilliant, and it's a nuclear disaster waiting to happen. Also, Iran has contracted with Russia to construct several more of these nuclear reactors in the area. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, Jeremiah 49:35 reads, what, okay, never mind, it doesn't read. Jeremiah 49:35. Let's talk more about what it means, break the bow of Elam. What does that mean? Does this refer to an earthquake of those three tectonic plates causing a nuclear accident? Well, we, of course, for that to happen, they would have to anger God, and we'll discuss whether that might have happened, but or perhaps it was just geology, but nothing happens. Everything that happens does happen for a reason. Or does it refer to a military disaster? Either way, a disaster is a disaster. Okay, so it really doesn't. It isn't. Either way, a disaster is a disaster. All right, so Ezekiel 39:7. Ezekiel states that the Lord is going to uphold his holy name through his people. That'd be Israel. His people Israel. But if Iran nukes and destroys Israel prior to the end times war, then the Lord's plan to uphold his holy name through Israel would be impossible. Therefore, Ezekiel 39:7, the prophecy, Ezekiel 39:7 would not be fulfilled. Now, all of the prophecies have been fulfilled or are on track to be fulfilled. Most of them have been fulfilled. None of them have been completely foiled. Now, if Iran nukes and destroys Israel prior to the end times war, then in fact one would be foiled. So Ezekiel 39 would not be, or Ezekiel 39:7 in that case would not be fulfilled. In that case, it would be the Lord, not Iran, who was humiliated. The Lord would be humiliated by Iran. Wow. That takes guts for Iran to put themselves in that position. Iran has put themselves on a collision course with disaster. Jeremiah 49:35. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. Why would God, I asked the question earlier, why would God be angry at Iran? I mean, one can only imagine, but consider two possible reasons. First, Iran, in Iran converting to Christianity today, an Iranian converting to Christianity today puts themselves in the path of severe persecution and possibly even death. A Christian in Iran. And that's a policy, that's a pattern. That's something that could cause God to be angry at Iran. Second, Iran has threatened to wipe Israel off the map, which would, as we said, that would humiliate God. And that would be another reason why God would be angry at Iran, because Iran has stated that their plan is to wipe Israel off the map and to push them all into the sea. In other words, kill all the people. So the result of going to war against God will be a massive disaster for Iran. I don't know if it doesn't take a genius to figure this stuff out. You could have a coalition of every country on the planet, and they would still be like a little ant in a war against God. It would be entirely futile. It's ridiculous. All right, Jeremiah 49:36. And upon Elam I will bring the four winds, the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them towards all those winds. And there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. So they can scatter them with the four winds. Now the four winds is a symbol of utter hopelessness. So the people of Elam, that's the part of Iran bordering the Persian Gulf, will be scattered to nations all over the world. Jeremiah 49:37, for I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies, before them that seek their life, and I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, saith the Lord, and I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. So you could get the sense that God is angry about the way things are going. He's not happy about this. So God is not going to be humiliated by an ant. Iran will be humiliated and beaten down by its enemies or by a nuclear disaster, or both. Jeremiah 49:38, and I will set my throne in Elam, and I will destroy from thence the king and princes, saith the Lord. More evidence that Iran is headed for trouble. Jeremiah 49:39, but it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith the Lord. Now this alludes to the return and restoration of the dispersed Iranians, those that fled the area when disaster occurred. So at what kind of time period, what kind of half-life we'd be talking about is not entirely clear about when that would be, but at some point the people would be returned to that area. Perhaps if it's a nuclear disaster, it might be at some distance. So there you have it, folks. It's a nuclear prophecy of Iran that's happening now, the Elam prophecy, the Jeremiah prophecy, 2,700 years ago, and happening now as we see all these proxies, all these Iranian proxies are currently attacking Iran. Hamas, Hezbollah, they're attacking from the north and from the south with Iranian drones and weapons. So it's happening right now. And the Jeremiah prophecy is already set in motion. God bless you, and good night from the Midnight Bible Study.